Aloha! Today I will discuss a controversial topic. Can we trust student evaluations of professors? At many universities, the renewal of faculty contracts and promotion decisions heavily rely on student end-of-course evaluations. Some faculty express dissatisfaction with this criterion, arguing that it transforms education into a form of customer service. They contend that instead of prioritizing what is beneficial but potentially unpopular with students, faculty feel pressured to prioritize student satisfaction, such as by lowering academic standards, to secure favorable evaluations. However, a 2003 study by John Centra challenged this notion, finding no substantial link between student evaluations and grade leniency or reduced coursework. According to the study, the correlation coefficient between the average expected grade in a course and the overall evaluation score was only 0.11. Furthermore, regression analysis revealed that the influence of expected grades on evaluations was minimal. It is worth noting that this 2003 study analyzed data from approximately 55,000 courses conducted between 1995 and 1999. The study employed statistical methods such as correlation analysis and stepwise regression. While stepwise regression was a common approach at the time, many contemporary researchers caution against its use. For example, Gary Smith bluntly said that analysts should step away from stepwise, because this method often selects irrelevant variables while omitting critical ones, making it less reliable. Today, advanced techniques from data science and machine learning, such as XGBoost and Bootstrap Forest, often surpass stepwise regression in performance. Without access to the original dataset, I am unable to reanalyze the findings using modern data science or visualization techniques. As such, I withhold judgment on the validity of the study's conclusions. Using alternate methods such as text mining and analysis of means, I analyzed student reviews available on ratemyprofessor.com and arrived at conclusions that directly contradict the findings of the 2003 study. The sample size of this dataset is 20,000, spanning across various universities and departments. In addition to numeric ratings, students also input their comments about faculty members and classes into the questionnaire. Importantly, these are informal assessments only, and thus no institution uses these data for making personnel decisions. Rather, students use the website to decide whether to take a course taught by a particular instructor. Nonetheless, these data are still valuable for educational researchers who want to study the relationships between student perception, teaching quality, and grade inflation. It is noteworthy that while previous research on this subject matter used expected grades, in this study I include actual grades. First, I conducted sentiment analysis to classify students' open-ended comments about the class. Sentiment analysis is a specific application of text mining. As the name implies, the algorithm is capable of determining the sentiment polarity expressed in the text, categorizing it as positive, negative, or neutral. Open-ended responses are particularly valuable because, unlike Likert scale items that produce only numerical ratings, these responses provide detailed insights into students' perceptions and the context behind their ratings, explaining why they gave high or low scores. The output graphs and tables of sentiment analysis are shown in this figure. The sentiment scores range from -100 to 100. 0 is totally neutral. Any number above 0 represents positive emotion, while any value below 0 represents negative sentiment. Based on this output, I analyzed the relationship between student sentiment and grade received. The analytical tool for examining this relationship is analysis of means, which is a graphical and statistical method for simultaneously comparing many means with the grand mean. This approach is much easier to manage than traditional post-hoc multiple comparisons. As you can see, post-hoc multiple comparisons are very complicated. Analysis of means was invented for statistical quality control in 1967, and it became popular in manufacturing during the 1980s. Its application spread to the service industry and healthcare during the 1990s, but it was overlooked by social scientists. Out of 20,000 students, 16,708 did not report their grades to ratemyprofessor.com. After excluding the observations whose grades are missing, the average sentiment score is 32.84. Interestingly, only students who received a grade of A, A-, or A+ had an above-average sentiment score. Students who received a B+ centered on the average sentiment, and all the rest were below average. If a red dot is attached to the top of the mean, it implies that the mean of that category substantively deviates from the average. For example, when a student receives a D-, D+, or F, the negative sentiment is extremely intense. The implication is, if a faculty member would like to keep the student sentiment above the average, he or she must avoid giving any grade lower than A. This finding is in alignment with several research studies, which reveals student evaluations contribute to grade inflation and lower academic standards. For example, in a 2016 study, Nate Cornell and Hannah Hausman discovered that when learning was assessed based on performance in subsequent related courses, the instructors who received relatively low ratings appeared to be the most effective. This suggests that making a course challenging in productive ways may lead to lower evaluations but greater long-term learning. However, students often fail to appreciate rigorous instructors. Similarly, in a 2018 article, John Lawrence argued that student evaluation scores are a poor metric for teaching effectiveness. He noted that these scores are influenced by numerous factors unrelated to teaching quality, such as students' grade expectations and enjoyment of the class, as well as the instructor's gender, race, age, physical appearance, and even the weather on the day the survey is completed. Echoing this perspective, a 2020 study by Wolfgang Strobe concluded that student evaluations of teaching do not measure teaching effectiveness. Strobe asserted that the widespread reliance on student evaluation for decisions about faculty hiring, promotions, and merit increases incentivizes poor teaching practices and contributes to grade inflation. Many faculty members express frustration over declining work ethics among students. High absenteeism is common, and even when students attend class, they may spend their time watching movies or playing on their phones. Moreover, many students failed to meet the assignment deadline but still requested extensions without providing valid reasons. Despite this disengagement and other issues, instructors are often held accountable for students' poor performance. Some question why the careers of highly educated professionals with doctoral degrees are influenced by the opinions of students who display such irresponsible behavior. From a research standpoint, the quality of evaluation data must be improved. Consider this analogy. To fairly review a movie, one must watch it from start to finish. If a viewer leaves the theater after 30 minutes or spends the time distracted by their phone, their review cannot accurately reflect the movie's quality. Similarly, student evaluations would be far more meaningful if students who were absent for more than 30% of the course or failed to engage in class were excluded from completing end-of-course evaluations. Ultimately, I do not advocate abandoning student evaluations. However, these evaluations should be interpreted cautiously, and universities must work to foster stronger work ethics among students to create a more productive learning environment, rather than putting the entire burden on the shoulder of the professor. Thank you for watching.